Hey team, this is Nathan from RunDreamAchieve.com. Hope you're all having a great weekend and your training is going well. You guys are all, gals are all healthy. Today's video, I wanted to discuss the new women's American marathon record that Keira Damato set in Houston this past weekend. I mean, 2 hours, 19 minutes, 12 seconds. Absolutely phenomenal run. And what impressed me most about the run was Keira ran her 2013 marathon debut in 3 hours, 49 minutes, and 49 seconds. So that should give you a clue of what you are capable of doing if you stick with it long enough. And I totally understand her background as well in that debut marathon that she ran at the Missoula Marathon in 2013. She had to stop and walk for a large portion of that race, and she had a very rough day, but she finished the race and ended up running 3:49.49. But, you know, years later, 2022, she goes out and runs 2:19.12. Absolutely phenomenal effort. So I wanted to create this video. I also wrote down some of the splits that she hit, and it's pretty impressive to say the least. She did a negative split. She ran 69.40 the first half, came back her second half in 69.32. and ran the 2:19.12. When I ran 2:19.35 at the California International Marathon in 2007, I ran 67.09 the first half and came back with the 72.25. So I had a huge positive split. Always focus on doing the very best you can to do a negative split. You'll have a much better chance of success. I fortunately because I went out so fast, I had enough buffer time there in the last half, the second half, in order to still run that time. But pretty impressive splits. So her splits was 16:25 at the 5K mark. She ran 32:45 at the 10K point, which is still 2:18.11 pace she was on. Hit 15K at 49:40, and still ran her last 1.2 miles of the Houston Marathon in 5 minutes and 7 seconds. Pretty impressive. Also, her 5K splits, just to give you an idea of what it takes and what type of splits you need to be hitting to run a sub 220. She hit 16:25 the first 5K, 16:20, 16:29, 16:39, 16:42, 16:39, 16:28, 16:26 for her last 5K. Very, very impressive. And to say that also the second place finisher from Great Britain, Alice Wright, ran a very high, very respectable time herself, running 2:29.08, but nearly 10 minutes behind Keira. So very, very impressive race. And going into the race, Keira had some really impressive times already. She had a 2:22.56 PR for the marathon, and had set the American record for the 10 mile in 51 minutes and 23 seconds. So I think it's very impressive to see anybody, male or female, running that fast. You know, as custom to on LetsRun.com, there were people beating her up saying that she had two male pacers throughout the race and she was wearing super shoes. Regardless if you're wearing super shoes or not, you still have to maintain that pace. You have to get out there and be able to hold that 5:18 mile pace that she held for the marathon distance, regardless if you have pacers or not. Sure, it helps to have somebody in front of you in your race if you're running a marathon, and in that case, she did have some help there, but she had other runners around her as well. And again, even when you look at Eliud Kipchoge's sub 2 hour marathon, he had pacers and he had people that could help break the wind, but he still had to hold that pace for her to go out and run 2:19.12, break Dina Castor's 2:19.36 marathon American record that she ran at the London Marathon. And I knew eventually it was going to happen. And Dina brought it up in the interview between her and Keira on the LetsRun.com YouTube interview as well. And she said, you know, it was eventually going to happen. I mean, shoe technology is definitely increasing, and I did tell you guys and gals that I was going to show you the shoes that I ran my 2:19.35 in. These were the shoes, the Adidas Adizeros. So you can see these are not super shoes. Not really anything impressive about the shoe. It's actually like a 3K, 5K shoe. And when I look at it now, I absolutely cannot believe I ran 2:19.35 in these shoes. You know, this was an athlete that started off running a 3:49 and ran into the threes, and slowly but surely continued and stayed consistent enough for a long enough period of time that she got down to 2:19:12 and is now the American record holder. So kudos to her. Keira, if you're watching, definitely respect. I think the whole country and the world is impressed with what you did. So definitely I credit. I definitely am motivated to see athletes such as Keira going out there and putting in the work and not limiting themselves and just staying consistent. You know, obviously she was putting in very heavy training, very consistent training. And when you go out there and see somebody, male or female, and especially a female going out and running under the American record and running 2:19:12, definitely is a perfect example of commitment and drive and motivation and what you need to do in order to get phenomenal results in whatever event you're going for. I think eventually we're going to definitely see the American record go much faster, and Keira may be the one that does it. It's even more impressive, you know, Sarah Hall, you know, she's 38, ran 1:07:15 to break the American record for the half marathon. Keira's 37, so it just goes to show you, if you're still in your 20s or 30s or 40s, you know, this is a sport where you can really run fast times in your 50s, 60s, you know, even your 70s. A guy from Canada, Ed Whitlock, is a perfect example. I mean, he's in his 70s. I think he ran under 3 hours for the marathon, ran like 2:57 or 2:58 to set the Canadian national record. But this is a sport where if you stay consistent and if you believe in what you're doing enough, that you can really continue to do phenomenal things in the sport. And so that's my overview of the new American women's marathon record. I think it's was a great day for the running community to go out and see Keira run 2:19:12, break Dina Castor's phenomenal 2:19:36 former American national record for the marathon. And I know how difficult this particular time is. I mean, I was only a second, my PR is only a second faster than Dina's 2:19:36. So again, male or female, you've got to really be prepared mentally and physically to run this fast for a marathon. And so I think it's, again, it's very impressive to see this. You know, again, the splits that she hit, the first half at 69:40, came back with a 69:32, which is about as on pace as you can get. And to go out and run, to go from a 3:49:49 PR for the marathon to 2:19:12 for the marathon. That's a perfect example of just staying consistent, regardless if you're maybe a 5-hour marathoner right now. You have to see yourself running 3:50. You know, it's not impossible to go from a 5-hour marathoner to 3:50. You know, this is an example of somebody going from a 3:49:49 marathon time to 2:19:12. So it's consistent action on a daily basis for a very long period of time. Again, she ran that 3:49:49 in 2013. So 2022, she finally gets down to 2:19:12. Consistent work. So I hope this video was enjoyable, and if you hadn't heard about the 2:19:12 that Keira Damato ran at the Houston Marathon, definitely YouTube the LetsRun.com interview between her and Dina Castor. It was a great overview of their history, and definitely worth a watch. So I wish you guys all the best, and I'll talk to you in the next video.